Today we're going to talk about how to connect to your REC Wi Fi module and add it to your home network. So the first thing we need to do is we need to understand what our network parameters are and our IP addresses are for our subnet. So the easiest way to do that is I'm currently in Windows, but I'll be using both Windows and Linux commands. We're going to go to the command prompt, CMD, and I'm going to type in ipconfig. And this will show me that I'm currently, my IP address is 192.168 and 4.22. Okay. So with that information, I can now reconnect to my Wi-Fi module. So we're going to connect to it as an access point. And once we're connected, we can type in 192.168. And now we're connected to our Wi-Fi module, but not to our BMS. So we have to go in to the firmware and set our send address to 1. So that means we're connecting between device number 0 and device number 1, with number 1 being the dip switch settings on our REC BMS. So we set that. Then we can log into our BMS, which is 1Q- and then your password. For the Q series and for the active series, it's 2Q-. Alright, so now we're logged in. We have our software and firmware updates, and we can see that we're connected as an access point. So that means we're just connected directly to our Wi-Fi module and have no internet access. So what I'm going to do is we're going to change this to match our current subnet, and I'm going to go with 4.44. We can leave our gateway at 1.1 and our subnet is fine. So I'm going to do this in 2 steps. So the first step, we'll set these parameters. Now we have to reconnect to it at its new address. So I've got a new phone number basically and moved. So we're 4.44. Okay, and that's not working. So what we do is we push the little reset button on our Wi-Fi module for about 3 seconds and let it reboot. Now you need to remember during that time is it's going to disconnect you and probably try to connect you back to one of your known networks. So we have to reconnect to the Wi-Fi module. And now we're connected to it on subnet 4.44. Okay. The next step in the process is to connect it through your local home network. So we go back to firmware. We're still logged in because we have our software information here in firmware. So what we need to do is we need to click on this guy and scan for available networks. And then we just have to, there's that living room arrow that we want to connect to. We give it our password. This is the password required to log on to that network, and hit submit. Okay, so now what we're doing is we're taking it from an access point to a station or STA device, and it's going to be sitting in underneath or within our home network. So once again, we have to reset the button, let it reboot. Notice that it's connected us automatically back to our living room network. We give it a few seconds to reboot, And now we are connected on our home network as a stationary device, meaning it resides within our arrow. So that means anywhere within your subnetwork, we can type in 192.168.4.44, and bang, we will have our rec BMS data. I forgot to mention, so we'll just squeeze this in here somewhere, but one other function you might like, we're going to go back into our command window, and we're going to type in ARP-A for all. And this will give us a list of all of the devices on our local subnet. So we can see that here is 4.44, which we just set up. If you want to access that remotely, you'll need to look into something called port forwarding within your router. And that basically allows, if you think in phone terms, it's kind of like an extension that gives you access to an outside line. Okay, hopefully that helps, and that's it for today.